My husband spent our house down payment on his brother's car, then told me we could just live with his parents for 5 years. So I did this with our joint account, and he went nuclear. So me and my husband Nathan have been married for 4 years. We've been saving for a house for the last 3 years, like aggressively saving. I'm talking cut cable, barely eat out, I bring lunch to work every day, the whole deal. We finally had $78,000 saved up, which took forever, by the way, and we're literally 1 week away from closing on this perfect little 3-bedroom in a good school district. Nothing fancy, but in a safe area with good schools for when we eventually have kids. Some background, I guess. I grew up pretty poor, like lights getting turned off sometimes, thrift store clothes, free school lunch kind of poor. I put myself through college with scholarships and working like 30 hours a week at this awful campus cafeteria job. I'm now a hospital administrator, which I worked my ass off to get. Money has always been a huge deal to me because I never had it growing up. Nathan, on the other hand, his family is loaded. Like country club membership, vacation homes, never had a job until after college, kind of wealthy. He works in marketing at his dad's friend's company. Shocker, right? He changed his major like 3 times in college and still somehow landed this cushy job through networking, also known as his dad calling in favors. Anyway, yesterday I logged into our joint savings account to start the process of transferring the down payment money since we're closing next week, and $62,000 was gone. Just gone. I literally thought I was having a heart attack. I checked the account like 5 times, thinking I was looking at the wrong thing or something. I immediately called Nathan at work, freaking out, thinking our account got hacked or something. He was so calm on the phone, like weirdly calm. He just told me he'd explain everything when he got home, like he was telling me he'd pick up milk on the way or something. Who responds like that? I spent the next 4 hours stressed, cleaning our entire apartment, waiting for him to get home. I literally alphabetized our spice rack. Who does that? I called my sister Zoe twice, just rambling about how the money was gone, and she was trying to calm me down, saying there must be an explanation. When Nathan finally got home, he stopped to get coffee on the way home. He just casually walks in and sets his stuff down like it's a normal day. I immediately asked him what happened to our house money, and he just shrugged and then told me he had to loan it to Austin because he needed a new car and had some urgent debts to pay off. Austin is his 29-year-old brother, who is basically a walking financial disaster, always borrowing money, always broke despite having a decent job, always has the newest whatever while claiming he can't make rent. I started crying, which I hate doing, but I couldn't help it, and asked how he could just give away our house fund without even talking to me first. He literally shrugged again and told me family comes first, like I'm not also his family. I reminded him that we are family too, and this was our future he just gave away. He got all dismissive, saying Austin was in trouble with bad people over gambling debts and needed help fast. I asked when we'd get the money back, and Nathan basically admitted Austin probably can't pay us back anytime soon. So then I asked what we're supposed to do about the house we're literally about to close on, and he told me we'd just stay with his parents for like 5 years until we save up again. 5 years with his parents, who have paper-thin walls, where his mom, Ruth, reorganizes my toiletries every single time we visit for a weekend, where I'd have to ask permission to use the kitchen. For 5 years. I honestly don't even know what to say to him. This isn't even the first time this has happened, though definitely the biggest amount. 2 years ago, I mentioned to Nathan that I was concerned about Austin's spending because he was showing off his new gaming system while complaining about not making rent. Nathan told me I was being judgmental and that I don't understand how brothers work. Nathan has loaned Austin money so many times, $500 here, $1,000 there, that never gets paid back. There was this Christmas where Austin spent his entire paycheck on a trip to Cancun, then couldn't pay rent, and his dad Walter just laughed and gave him the money. Everyone just treated it like, oh, that's just Austin, and I felt like I was taking crazy pills. I told him I needed to think and went to bed, but I haven't slept at all. The worst part, while I was lying here staring at the ceiling, Nathan got a text from his mom asking about my bedspread preference for their guest room and saying how excited they were to have us. They knew. They all knew about this before I did. About our money, about our house, about our future. I don't even know what to do. Like, am I crazy for thinking this is divorce-worthy? He gave away $62,000 without even talking to me. Money we spent 3 years saving, and now he expects me to just move in with his parents. Like, it's no big deal. I don't even know how to process this. How do you just give away your entire future without consulting your spouse and then act like it's normal? Edit. A lot of people are asking why his brother needed $62K for a car and debts. I honestly don't even know the breakdown. Nathan was super vague about it. I think the car was like $45 because, of course, Austin needed a brand new SUV instead of something reasonable, and the rest was for gambling debts. But Nathan was being really sketchy about the details, which is making me even more suspicious. Edit 2. Yes, I've checked our other accounts, and thankfully he hasn't touched our checking account, about $15K, or my personal savings, which isn't much. I'm definitely going to move my direct deposit to my personal account first thing tomorrow. I honestly never thought I'd have to protect my money from my own husband, but here we are. Edit 3. For those asking if this is real, I wish it wasn't. And for those saying this has to be fake because no one would do this, I'm genuinely happy for you that you've never met someone as financially irresponsible as my husband and his family. Must be nice. Now for the first update. Sorry for any typos. I'm on my phone at like 1 a.m. and my brain is fried. Also, this is long. So, a lot has happened since my last post, which was only 2 weeks ago, but feels like years. First, I want to thank everyone who commented. I was seriously not expecting thousands of comments and DMs. I read everything, even though I couldn't respond to most. You all helped me realize I wasn't crazy for being upset, which I was seriously starting to question because Nathan and his family were making me feel like I was overreacting about just money. The morning after I posted, after literally zero sleep, I waited until Nathan left for work. He was acting completely normal at breakfast, like making small talk about the weather and asking if I wanted to watch a movie that weekend, as if he hadn't just destroyed our future the day before. I was sitting there staring at him thinking, is this real life right now? But I just nodded and said sure, because I had already made my decision. As soon as he left, I went straight to our bank. I withdrew the remaining $16,000 from our house fund, plus exactly half, $7,400 of our joint checking. I want to be super clear. I only took what I considered my fair share. I literally calculated exactly half and left him the same amount. I'm not trying to be vindictive or anything. Even though I was absolutely fuming, I still wanted to be fair. I used that money to secure a 1-bedroom apartment with a 6-month lease. I paid the security deposit, plus first 3 months up front, because I know landlords can be weird about employment verification, and I didn't want any issues. Also, I just needed to know I had a stable place to stay while I figure out what I'm going to do with my life now. The apartment manager was this older lady named Patricia. She noticed I looked upset and was really kind to me. I almost started crying right there in the leasing office. I was just sleep-deprived and emotional. I called my sister Zoe, and she helped me move some essential stuff while Nathan was still at work. Just clothes, personal items, my laptop, my plant Gerald. Yes, I named my plant Don't Judge Me, and a few sentimental things. I didn't take any furniture or anything because most of it was stuff we bought together, and I was just trying to get out before he came home. I left Nathan a letter explaining that I needed space after such a massive breach of trust. I tried to be as calm and rational as possible in the letter, even though I wanted to just write, "What the actual fsk were you thinking?" in giant letters. I said I'd contact him when I was ready to talk, but that I needed time to think about what this means for our marriage. I also contacted my friend Melissa from college, who's a lawyer now. She's not a divorce attorney, but she gave me some general advice about protecting myself financially. And no, I haven't decided 100% on divorce yet, despite what basically every comment was telling me to do. It's not that simple when you've built a life with someone for years, even if they did something incredibly stupid and hurtful. When Nathan got home and found me gone, holy shit, the text started immediately. It was this insane roller coaster of emotions. He first texted, "Where are you?" I responded that I was safe but needed some space right now. Then he noticed the money and was like, "Why is money missing from our accounts?" I told him I only took my half and left his half untouched. He accused me of stealing from him and was like, "How could you do this?" I reminded him that I only took my portion while he gave away our entire house fund without talking to me. He said that was different because that was family. I told him I thought we were family too, which made me cry typing it, to be honest. Then he threatened to get his parents involved, and I said I was turning off my phone for the night because I just couldn't handle anymore. And then I literally turned off my phone because my hands were shaking so bad. I could barely type and I just needed to breathe. When I turned it back on the next morning, I had like 27 missed calls and a bunch of voicemails from Walter and Ruth, his parents, saying the most insane things, that I was stealing from Nathan and betraying the family, and how could I abandon their son like this? The complete lack of self-awareness was actually impressive. Like, did they miss the part where their other son took $62,000 from us and they were all fine with it? Then, Austin, the brother who got our house money, actually had the audacity to text me saying I was being selfish and destroying the family. He sent this from his brand new phone that I'm 1,000% sure our house fund helped pay for. I literally laughed out loud when I saw that. The worst part is that Nathan has been telling all our mutual friends his version of events. Basically, that I abandoned him and stole money from our accounts, conveniently leaving out the part where he gave $62,000 of our money to his brother without even talking to me first. Sarah, who I thought was my friend first, actually called me to ask what the hell is wrong with you before I even got to explain my side. When I told her what Nathan did, she was like, "Oh, he didn't mention that part." No kidding. Oh, and Ruth showed up at my workplace. Like, literally came to the hospital where I work and started making a scene in the lobby, saying I needed to come home and work things out with Nathan. My coworkers saw the whole thing. It was so embarrassing. Security almost got involved. I blocked all their numbers after that. After about 2 weeks of this insanity, I finally agreed to meet Nathan for coffee at a neutral place to talk. That meeting was confusing. He kept bouncing between apologizing and then justifying what he did in literally the same breath. He'd say he was sorry for not talking to me first, and then immediately follow it with, "But Austin really needed the money," or "Family has to stick together." And then the most shocking part happened. During this conversation, I found out this wasn't the first time Nathan had secretly loaned, also known as given, Austin money without telling me. Apparently, there have been multiple times over our marriage, including $5,000 from our honeymoon fund that I thought we had spent on upgrading our hotel room. He literally lied to my face about how much the room cost so he could give money to his brother. I felt physically sick realizing this has been happening our entire marriage. When I suggested we consider a post-nuptial agreement if we were going to try to work things out, he got really defensive and said I was making things too complicated and that I should just move back home and we could go back to normal. Normal? What normal? The normal, where he gives away our money behind my back. No thank you. I've started seeing a marriage counselor, just me for now, though I've asked Nathan to join. She used this term, financial infidelity, which I'd never heard before, but it perfectly describes what Nathan did. She said it's actually really common and just as damaging to trust as physical cheating. I found out through Facebook yesterday that Austin already crashed the new car, like completely totaled it. He was apparently driving drunk, which is apparently a recurring issue with him that no one thought to mention to me. And Nathan is now considering giving him more money for repairs or a replacement. I can't even process this level of enabling. I honestly don't know what's going to happen with our marriage at this point. I go back and forth between wanting to try to fix things. We did have a good relationship before this, I think, and feeling like I'll never be able to trust him with our finances again. Like ever. How do you come back from something like this? Edit. A lot of people are asking about divorce. I honestly don't know yet. I'm still processing everything and talking to my counselor about it. Some days I feel certain I need to leave. Other days I remember the good parts of our relationship. It's complicated and messy, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Edit 2. Several people have asked if I've checked my credit report. Yes. I actually do this religiously every quarter ever since my identity was stolen in college. Whole other story, not fun. So far there's nothing suspicious, thankfully, but I'm definitely keeping an extra close eye on it now. Edit 3. To answer everyone asking if Nathan's family has always been this way, yes. This dynamic with Austin has been going on since before I met Nathan. I just never realized how deep it went, or that Nathan would prioritize his brother's financial dumpster fires over our future together. I knew they were weird about money, but didn't think it would directly impact US like this. Edit 4. Since literally hundreds of you are asking, no, I don't think Nathan is hiding anything else financial from me. But honestly, how would I know at this point? The fact that I'm even asking myself that question probably tells you everything you need to know about where our trust level is right now. Edit 5. To the person who asked about my in-laws' financial situation, they're very well off, like multiple vacation homes wealthy, which is why this whole thing is even more frustrating. They could easily help Austin without it affecting Nathan and me, but they've created this weird dynamic where the brothers are supposed to help each other while the parents just enable everything from the sidelines. Edit 6. Thanks for all the kind messages about my plant Gerald. He's doing fine in the new apartment and enjoys the extra sunlight from the eastern-facing windows. Sometimes it's the little things that keep you going. Now for the second update. So it's been a month since my last update, and holy shit, you guys. So much has happened that I'm struggling to even organize my thoughts right now. First, thank you for all the comments and messages on my last post. I was honestly overwhelmed by how many people reached out. I couldn't respond to everyone, but I read everything, and it really helped me not feel so alone in all this. So, yeah, thanks. So after I found out Austin crashed the car that our house fund basically paid for, while driving drunk, by the way, I was feeling pretty validated about separating our finances, but still super torn about the marriage itself. I mean, we were together for years, and you don't just throw that away overnight, right? Although apparently you can throw away $62,000 overnight. Sorry, still bitter. Anyway, Nathan asked me to meet for dinner 2 weeks ago, and he seemed different. He agreed to couples counseling and admitted that giving away our entire house fund wasn't the most considerate thing to do. I was actually feeling a tiny bit hopeful after that dinner. I thought maybe we could work through this if he was finally starting to get it. Well, that hope lasted exactly 24 hours. The next day, I was doing my quarterly credit check. I do this religiously ever since my identity got stolen in college. Whole other story. And guess what I found? Nathan had tried to open a joint credit card in both our names with a $30,000 limit, and he forged my signature on the application. I couldn't believe it. This was after our conversations about financial boundaries, after I moved out because of financial betrayal, after everything. I called the credit card company immediately and reported it as fraud, which was honestly one of the hardest phone calls I've ever had to make because I was basically reporting my own husband. The customer service person was nice and said this happens more than people think. Not sure if that made me feel better or worse, to be honest. When I confronted Nathan about it, his response was unbelievable. He told me he needed emergency funds because I had stolen his money when I moved out. You know, the half of our joint account that was mine. Meanwhile, he gave $62,000 to his brother without asking me, and that was perfectly fine. The complete lack of self-awareness is honestly impressive at this point. But wait, there's more. Last week, I got a promotion at work. Yay me. Came with a pretty significant salary increase too. I celebrated with my sister Zoe. We split an expensive bottle of wine. After everything that's happened, I deserve that damn wine. Oh, and Gerald, the plant is thriving, in case anyone was wondering. He even has a new leaf. Somehow Nathan found out about my promotion. Pretty sure Sarah told him. She's definitely not my friend anymore. He called to congratulate me and then immediately started talking about how now we could buy a house without his parents' help. As if the problem was just that we didn't have enough money and not that I can't trust him anymore. Anyway, the final straw came when his parents invited me to a family dinner to discuss everything rationally. Against my better judgment and my sister's explicit advice, I agreed to go. So I get to the restaurant, and it's Nathan, Walter, Ruth, and Austin. Yes, Austin, the brother who got our house fund and crashed the car he bought with it. They were all sitting there, waiting for me, like some kind of intervention. For me. Ruth immediately hugged me, which I hate, and said we could put this misunderstanding behind us. Walter mentioned they'd already started renovating their guest room for me and Nathan. Austin made a joke about how my reaction had cost him his car repairs. I asked if any of them understood why I was upset. Nathan said they all know I'm funny about money because of how I grew up poor. I pointed out that $78,000 is objectively a lot of money to anyone. Ruth dismissed this and said they could always help us financially. Austin said I should be grateful for having such generous in-laws. I'd had enough. I stood up and just said I want a divorce. The whole table went silent. I explained that I had transferred my promotion bonus, $12,000, into our joint account as a gesture of good faith, even against my lawyer's advice. I added that I had already paid the retainer for a divorce attorney with the understanding that he would need to account for the missing $62,000 in the financial settlement. That's when Nathan got really angry. He started shouting so loud that the manager asked us to leave. He called me manipulative and said I planned this all along. Walter tried to intimidate me by mentioning his connections with judges, and Ruth was crying about family loyalty. We ended up continuing this family discussion in the parking lot where Nathan showed his true colors. He threatened to ruin my career through his hospital board connections if I went through with the divorce. That's when I played the recording of that threat from my phone. Yes, I've been recording our conversation since the credit card fraud on my lawyer's advice. He was shocked. I also have recordings of him admitting to taking the money, the credit card fraud, basically everything. Suddenly, Nathan was very interested in an uncontested divorce. Funny how that works. So yeah, the divorce is happening. We've agreed to a settlement where the $62,000 he gave to Austin counts as his portion of our joint assets. I'm now in escrow on a smaller house that I can afford on my own with my new salary. It's actually in a neighborhood I like better anyway. Oh, and I've started dating this pediatric surgeon from work. It's very new. Don't get excited. He insists on splitting every bill exactly and always wants to talk about financial decisions together. The bar is literally on the floor, but after Nathan, it feels revolutionary. I still occasionally get these sad apologetic texts from Nathan, who is now living in his parents' guest room, where he'll probably be staying for at least 5 years. Karma's funny like that. Edit. So many people are asking about Austin's reaction to the recording. He actually tried to grab my phone, but I had already sent copies of all recordings to my lawyer, my email, and my sister. Walter had to physically restrain Austin, which was something. Yes, I reported the credit card fraud to the police too. I had to. My lawyer said it was necessary to protect myself financially going forward. The case is still pending, but honestly, I don't even care about pressing charges at this point. I just want this chapter of my life closed. For everyone asking what was in the settlement, basically I got to keep my retirement accounts and personal savings, plus the $12 I put in our joint account. He kept his own retirement accounts and is responsible for any debt Austin still has. I also got full custody of Gerald, lol, and our wedding photos, which I'm planning to have a ceremonial bonfire with once the divorce is finalized. Someone asked if I ever found out exactly what Austin needed the money for. Apparently, the bad people he owed money to were just regular bookies, not like mob enforcers or whatever Nathan implied. And the car was a brand new Range Rover that he absolutely did not need. The whole he's in danger thing was massively exaggerated. To the person who asked if I'm still in therapy, yes, and it's been incredibly helpful. My therapist says I have excellent boundaries now, which is probably the nicest compliment I've ever received. Lol. Thank you for all the kind words about my promotion. It honestly came at the perfect time and helped me believe in myself again. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not constantly dealing with your partner's financial disasters.